You will need to brace up for tonight's conversation. It concerns a series of events that have been unfolding in Imo State over the past 3 days now. Well, it didn't just start, really, but the latest events have again raised the political temperature in that state to fever pitch. It's the arrest and eventual release of the former governorship candidate in the state, Mr. Uchenwoso, in what has been described as Gestapo manner in a church right in the middle of a memorial service for his mother. But this has again opened another can of worms, and we'll seek to get to the bottom of it on the program tonight. And to do that with us, we're joined by a former governor of Imo State, a senator representing Imo West Senatorial District in the 9th Senate, also a founding chieftain of the All Progressives Congress. Senator Rochas joins us on the program virtually tonight. Your Excellency, thank you for joining us on Politics Today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, so much has happened within these 3 days, and I know you have quite a lot to unpack on this, but let's begin this way. The people of Imo State have been watching the recent string of events, some of them pretty anxiously. They don't know what's coming next. So perhaps as a way to help diffuse the tension first, what would you say to your people tonight to assure them and calm the nerves that may have been building at this time?
Well, what's happening in Imo State is rather unfortunate. And when I say it's unfortunate, it is really, really very, very unfortunate that Imo State has to go through what it is going through at this very crucial moment in our nation's history. And it's not just about Imo State, it's about the entire nation, and by extension, the entire humanity. What is happening in Imo State is too serious that Imo State looks like it's becoming a banana republic where there's complete lawlessness and where people live in fear and they're not sure of what happens the next day. There's no day that passes without somebody being killed and people being harassed. And it seems everybody's living in fear. Nobody can speak out. It appears to most people, unfortunately, as if though the happiness in Imo State has some kind of backings from Abuja. And that's what I could figure out. And there seemed to be enmity between the people here and the presumed federal government of Nigeria, just because of the communication gap. But thank God this is getting to be unraveled now with the recent happenings, especially with the arrest of Ugumba Uchenwoso in the church in Nkwere, local government of Imo State, which ugly scene is reported in social media and newspapers and in all television stations of something that has never happened in the history of mankind, that police officers wearing hood, mask, could walk into the church, shooting sporadically, to arrest an individual they have never invited, an individual that have not sent a text to come, and pushing down my wife and my daughter, tearing their dresses and whisking, abducting the gentleman and beating him up and tearing him up. And it's just a very ugly situation, ugly story. And the story of what happened to Uchenwoso is still a horror to behold. And this is what is taking different dimensions. And first dimension is the issue of the church, which is left for the church actually to talk about. The discretion of the church is a huge, major spiritual issue. So I think the church will be left to handle that. But my concern is not just about the church, discretion of the church. That is a very strong spiritual matter, which could cause major mayhem, if you like. Because if this has happened in other parts of this country, I'm sure by now the nation would have been at a total mess because of this single act. But that is not even the issue. I think the church will have to address that. But my concern, there's something that has to be unraveled. And I'm sure you must have been hearing about unknown gunmen in Imo State. This is where the story of unknown gunmen started. And most people have been wondering the mystery behind unknown gunmen. But it appears, though, to me now, that unknown gunmen has finally been unraveled with the recent happenings. And what is the unknown gunmen from what happened to Uche Nwosu? Unknown gunmen now was a set of policemen from government house who, without the consent of the commissioner of police, without the consent of the inspector of police, without the consent of the DIGs and the charge, nobody on their own, from the instruction of the government of the Imo State led by Hope Uzodinma and the CSO Shaba, that gives directives to go and arrest people at will and lock them up at will, and sometimes what about these people are not. So gradually something is becoming to unravel, and that is the good news about this. And to shock you, and to shock the whole world, is that this same Shaba and his governor are in the business of, getting policemen from government house to go and execute an unholy act. And when they run into trouble, they quickly say it is police. So right now, they have carefully put the image of the police and federal government of Nigeria at stake as to prove to themselves why the police should send people to go to church to arrest somebody, and which is now not IG definitely. But now, when the governor does that, when he gets into trouble, he said the police. That's the situation we find. So the unknown gunmen now is getting to be clear. And what might surprise you is that the killing of Golak will soon be unraveled by what has happened recently. And the 150 people that are left unaccounted for bodies at the Federal Medical Center in Owerri will also be unraveled, because till now there have been a lot of cover-up in Imo State, where nobody seems to know what is happening. People are dead. Nobody's coming to claim them. And if you claim them, they are shot, they are killed. So a lot of things are going to be unraveled. I think the mystery is because the war was taking place of that.
Right.
So asking me, what would the Imo people, how does the Imo people feel? Imo people are still in fear, and there's need to assuage their fear seriously, and it will take the intervention of the federal government of Nigeria.
Right. So we'll still try to unpack that side of the conversation, but still on the arrest and eventual release of Mr. Nwosu. Yes, he's been released. He's spoken to the press about his experience at the hands of those who took him in. But just to be clear on this matter, what are the questions yet to be answered for you, by extension, your family, on this particular matter?
Well, there are a lot of questions to be answered, but the first question to be asked is, why the hate? What is in the interest of the government of Imo State and Rochas, and what concerns them? That I've not been able to. Why the hate? Why the envy? That I've not been able to answer. Another question I will ask that: why should a governor? I have been a governor for 8 years. Why should a governor assume the position of the Inspector General of Police by giving directive to police officers under him to go and commit an act? I've not answered. Nobody has answered that question. Why should the governor become the chief judge of the state or the judge to issue arrest warrant from government house? Why should governor go to church? Ask him to go to church and arrest somebody and bring the person to government house and take him to Enugu and charter a private jet. Why should the government charter a private jet to take somebody as arrested to take him to Abuja? And what is it really? And I can't understand. Because if you had listened to Uche Nwosu, this phone call this evening would have been a condolence message. God forbid. But oh, sorry, Rochas, we learned of what happened to your in-law. God forbid. I reject that in Jesus' name. Because when these young men took him out and took him to Njaba Bridge, they first of all brought him out and cocked their gun to shoot him. And they were, what